prep work here. Is there a way to like make Notepad close all, or Paint close all of its instances without having to click each one? Like, can I option? I think I'll have to hit every single one of these. Is there like a command for that? Task kill IM MS Paint F. Nice. I did not know that. That makes life a lot easier. All right, so let's get working on this. We got a few things that we want to do today. Man, everything needs a restart in an update. But wow, that was a long flicker. All I did was update VS Code. All right. Give me just a blank document, please. You don't make a blank document by default, do you? So, there's a couple things I want to do. The big one is that we're going to go into D Drive Games EQ. We're going to start working on the intro scene because that should be interesting, right? So Games EQ, there is a zone file called CLZ, and that is actually the entrance zone of the game. So we're going to actually try to replace that with OpenZone. So let's grab OpenZone 8.3. Boot that up. I'm also going to get Restream going so I can see your guys' chat easily. And we're going to go ahead and hit up a new zone file. That's fine. We want it to be midair. The bounding box, honestly, it's going to be pretty small. We're going to hit OK. I'm also going to look into getting my Nariac zone files in here. So to do that, I need to go to D Drive, Games EQ. I think OpenZone has my zones. Maybe I don't. Where did I put that actually, now I'm thinking about it? We're going to delete that and delete that. I don't know where I put that actually. I don't care about that actually. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and start this up here. And we're going to go look at, we have this blank map, right? And we're actually going to go ahead and create I might need to use the help me on this actually. So Let's open up OpenZone. And we're going to go to the, actually, let's go to GitHub Zachary OpenZone. Hit up the wiki, because I have documentation now. And I want to see if dungeon is covered in here. If you define it as an outside zone, OpenZone will try to create land area for your zone. If you define your zone as midair, then OpenZone will not try to create land. You can select midair if you're creating zones that consist of floating or pure dungeon zones. Yep. You can hide and unhide certain grid elements. Don't care how high up the player is. Okay. You know what I'm actually going to probably do? What is Dungeon Builder? Oh, apparently you can use this to make dungeons and import it or something. Let's see. No. Unless... Hey, Dead Zerling. It's going all right. So I've been jumping around, kind of doing ADD, still doing research, basically. I did try to compile OpenZone and the Pascal RAD, whatever. I'm getting some weird linker errors, and I just ultimately am like, eh. So that's an annoying step. But I'm doing a couple different attempts here. What I want to do, actually, and so far, I like NetRadiant more than I like OpenZone. And from what I can tell... I need to get NetRadiant its own directory, don't I? Because I think I'm still using it right here. Yeah. So let's go ahead and do that, actually. Let's move NetRadiant to D drive, games, EQ, tools, and we're going to copy over NetRadiant. Because the other day I made a perfectly good cube. In fact, you know what I might try real quick? Is I'm going to take my East Commons zone that I made, which is right here, and I'm going to go ahead and try to rename it to, I think I can just rename it, but I don't know if that's going to fully work or not. I really doubt the sound bank or the sound even has entries in it. But I want to see if I can change the entrance zone where characters are loading in. And I heard Discord messages. I assume somebody's messaging me. Oh, somebody joined. Welcome. Anyways, so NetRadiant is a Quake 3 map editor. And what I'm doing... Because ultimately what OpenZone is doing is it's taking coordinate data that you generate and turning it into S3D files, right? In order to do so, S3D files and EQ zones are actually just binary space partition files, or BSP, which is not like a true like Blender conversion. It's more of a Quake uses BSP, for example. You can fully integrate Quake 3 zones into EverQuest, like one-to-one almost. And then you can use OpenZone to like define regions and other types of, zone lines and whatnot. But even that sort of step, I think you could actually integrate fully with a, NetRadiant or another Quake 3 map editor. And I'm actually looking at foregoing OpenZone altogether because I could potentially moot it. And that's because OpenZone is honestly kind of a pain design-wise. I know they're trying to make it easy with all these helpers and stuff, but I really just need a, draft system that I can easily edit content with. And it's not super intuitive. Like even the interaction with OpenZone is really clunky. But NetRadiant and all these other contenders are actually quite reasonable. So watch, if I go to NetRadiant, I can make it work, dude. In fact, I'm about to boot up a CLZ replacement. Let's see if it works. So you can see here clz.eqg and .don. I'm going to go ahead and take those out. And I'm going to go ahead and replace them with my new one I just made. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start this up. Check out my boot time on this client I have streamlined. So, you know, that's pretty standard right there, logging in. And there's some glitches there. All right, so we're going to go into Bounty EQ, my little test server. All right, you ready for this? This is where, you know, loading truly impacts because, you know, EQ tends to, you know, take a while. And obviously this is like initializing, but look, there's the progress bar and now I'm in. And you can see this purpleness. This is actually the CLZ replacement. And as you can see, there's some issues. You don't ever see the model and the world is empty. But let's go ahead and enter the zone anyways. Assuming it'll let me. See how fast that load is? Especially for, oh, except that it crashed. Of course. That's interesting that zone file or the character model doesn't load. I'm really curious how they actually place the character in the center of the zone. Yeah, well, like watch, I just restarted. You see how fast I got into character select and then, oh, apparently I'm just going to crash every time now. Oops. Maybe the CLZ is causing a crash. Let me restore it real quick. I've never done the whole CLZ change, so. CLZ.eqg and zone, and there's actually some environment emitters too. Let's go back to my Underdark. But check out how big my EQ client is. 364 megabytes. Yes, I am booting EverQuest with less than 400 megs of you know, EQ install. My plan is I'm going to streamline it, make it super minimal, and make a custom client that you can just download with my patcher. And you know, when you play on my server, you just download a couple megs. Yeah, you know exactly. But look how fast this is. Boom. And now I'm in game, you know? Okay, so this right here was actually generated in Quake. This is I made this in NetRadiant, this actual file. And these textures and everything, I aligned them in NetRadiant. And then I imported it into OpenZone for the final step to convert it. But yeah, the collision's looking good. This is like a dungeon style one where you just literally have this cube and that's it. And I'm probably going to see if I can make a CLZ zone similar to this. I'm actually a little curious what exactly they're doing on CLZ that like tells the, you know, player to position here and all that. I'm assuming it's just 0-0'd. But it is weird that it crashes when I change it. Letting you collide with whatever you put in there. Right. But anyways, like look at NetRadiant real quick here, right? So let's just make a new map, right? This is from scratch. And let's say we want to put in a box. So already, in my opinion, it's easier. Just because I made a box, right? That took nothing. And let's say I want to make it, this is going to be our border for everything. I can go ahead and make this into a room. And if I right click once, I get proper navigation. You see that? And now I have a room. As simple as that. And when I want to add geometry, I can actually do so with clicks. I just drag what I want. And then if I look, there's the cube I just made. And then when I want to move it, I can press like W, and then I can either slide the little sliders on that screen or on this screen and get perfect snapping with the grid. And of course you can turn off snap to grid. But this is just 2 work in progress zones. One me goofing off with buildings, one me getting ice physics to work in some challenging courses I made. Nice. Yeah, dude, do it. I'm curious. I did load some of the example scenes that were in the OpenZone repo. But this right here is about all I want, especially to start. I don't really care about outdoor zones. I want to make some cool dungeons. I think that's an easier start. I figured for today, my goal was I wanted to see if I can replace CLZ and what sort of hit issues I'd hit with that, which you can already see there is some issues with that. One thing I need to do too, there is an info player start. This is the size of the player. And I'm pretty sure it actually is 1-to-1 to what EverQuest does, by the way. So like you can see right now, this world is kind of small. So it's just Z to delete. I'm going to go ahead and just delete the world. And this is 0, 0 coordinate. So let's go ahead and make like a pretty big little scene. Like let's do this grid. There we go. And let's go ahead and grow it, which there's a couple ways, but I think if I use resize, will it work? No, actually I have to do like by face. Isn't it Control Tab? There we go. There we go. Now I can scale this up, make a nice little room. Then let's turn this into a room with the room button, wherever that was. I just saw it a second ago. There it is. Click. And now I have a big room with no ceiling. What happened to my ceiling? It must be because I did scale. Yeah, you can see here the roof was on the ground. Oh, there is no ground. Well, but nevertheless, I can copy this, paste this, and move this down back. Boom. And now you can see here's my nice little room. And I did figure out how to get textures to load in here. So like here's the Pac-Man texture that I was using. Look how easy it is to paint. And even like if you press S, you can come in here and you can even like tweak the UV mapping and, you know, make it however you want it to be. And this all seems to translate kind of naturally into OpenZone. Unfortunately, when you do it this way, you kind of are committed now to use net radiant instead of EQ, because EQ doesn't import PSPs as proper meshes. They just become what are called 3D points. But I don't know. I got to still play with this and make an official GAR. That's fine. So many textures, you know, you went over, bro, and it takes 5,000 a minute, whatever, to zip them. Yeah, I hear you, dude. Like for now, I have Pac-Man. I'm actually gonna. I have an extraction of all the Neriac zones somewhere. I was gonna use Neriac as my baseline for my underground, because so my vision that I want to kind of pursue, if I continue on this, I think even. Oh, got it. Anyways, the way I want to pursue, I think, is I want to make, I don't care about using EQ graphics. Like, I'm totally cool with ripping them and whatever. Legal obligations aside, I just want to basically extend Neriac and create an Underdark experience. I think that'd be a fun start for what I want. Well, I don't see my Underdark stuff, so let me go ahead and make some new textures real quick. I think the easiest way is that we go into Net Radiant and we go into, you know, I think I have it pointing right now to my Urban Terror directory. Right, but you know that every time you're converting over to OBJs, you're taking BSP data and you're turning them into meshes. And then the moment you mess with those meshes and try to re-import them back into OpenZone, you're taking float surface data and then you're turning it into binary space partition data. So there's just a natural degradation with the conversion back and forth. In my opinion, you should be using something like a BSP editor for the most native, cleanest meshes, and importing your various objects into something like this. Or just even natively using OpenZone would arguably be good because it is a BSP editor. The moment you go into Blender and whatnot, the data that it's actually creating, it's tacky basically. It's okay for like detailed objects that you might want to import, but it's not okay for like world building. It's two different mentalities essentially. And there is like even OpenZone, by the way, when you create a overworld, the nav mesh and just the general geometry it makes is horrible. Like when you preview it in a program, there's a lot of negatives to how it does things. But it works. And yeah, that's the reason, like I'm not an expert with, NetRadiant, but the fact that you can create primitive objects super easily, right? And then you can take these primitive objects and do cutting, or even like, you can do transforms. Like let's transform an edge. And like you can grab an edge. If I could do this, it's not working as I was hoping. And I just deleted it. Trust me, it's very easy with this as far as once you know the tooling. And the geometry it generates is a lot better. In fact, I had a message with Trust that shows how the geometry looks like. All right, so when you import from when you import from OpenZone, you actually get, so this is one example, like there's remnants of the original EQEMU and you can see OpenZone on top of it. And you can see like the geometry in here and just the general nav meshing is really tacky. There's a ground plane that has to be cleaned up that doesn't even exist on OpenZone, but it is. Here's your border walls. There's my house and just showing the geometry of it, trying to calculate where my floating house is at. Here's an easier one, like this is that dungeon example one. And you can see here, even with the nav mesh, how the triangles are being calculated are not very optimal. And for comparison, we imported in Quake. Now this is in MQ2's nav mesh editor, which did better, but you can still see the geometry is very unoptimized with what's being generated with OpenZone. So what I did is I imported this funny little Pac-Man map, right? It's from Quake 3. And we put this inside, and you'll notice the triangles are a lot more reasonable in here, right? Like some of these are actually perfect. The vertices and just how it's calculating all the edges and such. Even this more complicated joystick on the top, you can see how the geometry is pretty much what you'd want for each of the objects. Some of these outer edges are wonky, but not horribly. So from what I've seen, BSP editor, create the files necessary to put into EQEMU. Yeah, so what I'm actually doing, I did a little bit of work this morning on this, was I was working on creating a tool that takes BSP files and turns them into S3Ds directly. So I'm basically taking out OpenZone as a converter, and I'm rewriting the OpenZone converter step, and I just make it a CLI program or even like a plugin, right? So when you're done here, you just hit plugins and you say make S3D file, and you're done. And then I would probably create like custom entity data that you can set for zone points and whatnot, and like special flags on surfaces, like if you wanted to do weird things. And then we could leverage the shader system to potentially convert over to EverQuest. But the reason you do that is NetRadiant has a huge tutorial system. It's very vetted, and you can absolutely import external objects into systems like NetRadiant. I don't know where that's at. I should actually test that. Can I put a cube from Blender into NetRadiant? I've not actually done that. Let's look at that real quick. And I did see your yeah, you see here you can create assets and props in 3ds, but this might be like through brushes. And the truth is, depending on how the complexity of the object you're drawing in, you may want to just create them as objects, out external to the zone file. But you know that in here you can do file import. Yeah, you can import 3ds files, but we'll need the meshes I use too. I should actually start looking at your files here. Download. And what was the other thing? Let me go to the chat because you're opening a bunch of links. Download. Oof, this is a big file, dude. Big stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, even just like making a cube, it's so much easier in NetRadiant than it is in OpenZone. The tutorial and just in general, everything about it felt very cumbersome. Even just making a building was super difficult. But I am by no means an expert at either of these. But did you make the textures, or are they just third-party ones that you've converted and such? But like, yeah, I can make a cone. All right. And let's move this into the world. I'm going to make like a zoo real quick here. Okay, so let's rotate, which is R. That makes sense. Let's scale, which I don't think scale has a hotkey by default. That's a little wonky. But we're going to put in this complex little cube and cone. Let's put a cylinder. Wait, that's not what I meant to do. Let's make a sphere. Wait, what am I doing wrong? Let's just make a perfect sphere. Where did this actually go coordinate-wise? Isn't it shift? Oh, it's control tab. There we go. Oh, it's like super squished. That's why. I also don't know how to cycle targets very well in this. There. So this thing is super squished in one dimension. In fact, right there. No. Rotate, or W. Okay, now I can scale. Boom, 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 boom. And we got some weird object shapes here, right? I want to see how these look in game. Because as you can see, the geometry of these is kind of wonky. All right. We'll make another one. Let's bevel it. Oh, that's going to be interesting because it takes off a face when you do a beveling. Interesting. All right, so let's put the walls back because I moved a couple while testing. Z, put this on top. Now, if everything's solid, it'll let me build this. So we're going to save this as zoo. And let's go ahead and build a BSP real quick. And as you see, it succeeded, which is a good sign. Let's go back to OpenZone, which is an empty zone right now. Let's go ahead and import my Quake 3 map. Unfortunately, this is still a bit of an ordeal because I have to go to NetRadiant. No, I have to go to Urban Terror Maps, find zoo.bsp. It might need some of these other files, I forget. Go to OpenZone and library, textures. I have a Quake 3 directory in maps. Paste this. We'll see if it's just the BSP or not, though. This might error. So library, textures, Quake 3, maps, zoo. There you go. And as you see, all right, you have to click the eyeball, and then it's clunky WASTA controls. Interesting that these deformities are rendering weird. I know the Pac-Man is pretty bad. And why is it white over there? That's interesting. But, you know, let's give this a whirl real quick. Export this as EQEMU real quick. All right. Now we go into... I definitely need to write some scripts here soon because I'm already kind of going nuts. Do I have WSL on here? Yes. Is it Ubuntu? Yes. Nice. So I could just make a script file real quick to do all this because I'm better. Let's call this okay, so we're going to write a makefile real quick, and we're just going to make it called copy. And all it's going to do is cp, when we're in this directory, I'm trying to remember how Ubuntu, yeah, it's just mount. Okay. So we're going to go copy OpenZone zones. EQEMU star dot star and move this into mount C drive games EQ Underdark. Then we need to copy. Okay, so we're currently in tools, so we need to go to NetRadiant. No, the BSP actually gets generated into up1 directory, Urban Terror, and it gets put in wait, I just saw Urban Terror. There it is. All right, it goes here. Base Q3 maps, and we're just going to say copy everything in here to my OpenZone 8.3 library textures Quake 3 maps, basically. That should do it. All right, so mount D games EQ tools. And now we just do make copy BSP. Make is not found. I think my WSL is jacked up where I can't install things. No! Well, here, I can just run these commands. It's not end of the world. CPR emitting directory. You know what? Let's do an R. There. Cool. So now I have this script. I'm going to go to another Ubuntu window. Hey, Xandrin, how you doing, dude? Mount D drive games EQ tools. Now we're going to run a copy it over. Okay. So we have copy this and copy that, right? Now, when I go to OpenZone and I export my ugly, ugly zone to S3D, I can just put eCommons. Okay, that's fine. Yep. Now we go to the Ubuntu one and we copy all this over. Done. Now we come in game and we start. And I crash because that is the name of the game. I'm tempted, actually. I'm going to put another command prompt and just make it cd games eq underdark eqgame.exe patch me. That'll be faster than finding that thing every time. I am messing around with custom EQ zones. Pretty cool, right? Depending on how much I've changed it, here we go. All right, let's see if that geometry is in here. There it is. See what I mean, though? That was just a deform, but... And this should have a single face. The other side does not have a face. Yep, exactly what I expected. It's a little weird this wall is missing. It's there, I just think the texture brush is messed up. I think this is too. And then I got a cube cone thing here. And the bottom face of it is messed up, but that's fine. That's kind of expected. In fact, this is 1-to-1 to how NetRadiant showed it. Like, watch. 2 walls had no shaders applied. That's correct. And on the bottom of this, there was none. Yep. And then there was the beveled object that I messed with right here. You can see it on this side, and then on the other you can't. So all the faces are rendering identically in-game. So, perfect. And I sent my 2 scenes, by the way. Yes, you are throwing me things, but I'm like, holy links, dude. I can't even keep up with what you've sent me or not. Okay, so you sent this one, and I think this one, and then I also think this one. And then let's go back to downloads, which is going to be a mess now. And let's check. So this is your scene file for start town. This is another scene file for the maze. Here's your meshes, which I don't think I have. Oh, maybe I do. Yeah, I already have a DZ message, so I think I can skip that one. And this is DZ textures, which I already have. Oh, I think my C drive just got full. Crap, I have too much crap in my... Let's, I can delete this. And Lazarus I'll keep on there. Okay. So, let's move back over here. We're going to grab all your crap. Where did DZ textures go? I thought I downloaded that. Oh, it failed because it was full. Yeah, just save it to downloads. You're fine now. Okay, so now I have your junk. I'm going to move in my D drive, which is a platter hard drive, so it's faster, or bigger. Go to Games, EQ, Tools, and we're going to make a new directory and call it Dead Zergling. There. And then we can go ahead and extract this. And why did you fail twice? Removed. Can download no permissions. Let's just download again. You're apparently having issues. There. All right, and I'll be looking at your stuff a little bit more intensely here in a bit. Dead. I'm not probably going to do it all on stream just yet. I mainly just wanted to review what you've done, where you're at. I mean, I could just open the scene file real quick, I guess. But the fact that I got this to work is amazing. Because what I want to do is replace CLZ. I don't know why CLZ is breaking though. That's a little weird. Can you zone to CLZ? Yeah. I forgot that you could do that. So this is what CLZ looks like when you're actually in the world. And I'm betting you that the very center here is 0, 0. Let's see. Oh, it's not. It's actually offset just a hair. Help. There's no doors. Isn't there like objects? Object list. All. None. Help door. Help. Yeah, I don't think there's any other server-side commands that we do in here. But yeah, you can tell they've designed this as minimum textures as possible. I'm planning to replace this though and make some sort of cool zone. Even if it's going to be shoddy. Because what I'm planning to do, and I might actually start doing this soon, is take my patcher and tweak my old patcher to make it so that it downloads the entire EQ client. And so when you guys want to play with this, all you have to download is 300 megs or so. Like I'll take my Underdark project. I've stripped it down so much. Take that 300 megs and you guys can just hop on and come enjoy. It's even smaller when you compress. It's going to error with a couple because I'm in game. But yeah, it's 239 megs to download this as is. Pretty tiny compared to the, like even P99 is 5 gigs. So, and a normal RF2 client is 10 gigs. So 300 megabytes. Pretty good, all right? All right, so let's move on to how do we fix CLZ and why is it crashing? What I should do is go ahead and exit. It's not crashing, there's just nothing. So let's exit. Let's try exporting to CLZ again with my test zone here. And let's go ahead and copy over CLZ to Underdark. And then let's go ahead and start Underdark. Yeah, if you're here, Xandrin, look how fast I load into the game, like right here. There's a little bit of a load up there, but look, that was my progress bar. I'm already in the character select. So it says loading. Wait, did my CLZ not copy over? What happened here? Because this is not supposed to exist. Oh, wait, it's because the EQG exists. We need to take the EQG out. Okay, so we have to go to C drive Grams EQ Underdark, find the CLZ file, and call it CLZ old. That'll make it start. And Finar, yeah, dude, old school stuff is fun. Like when it looks like PlayStation graphics, there's a lot of liberties you have to do and like creative, minimalistic stuff, but it's also very easy once, with modern tooling to make this stuff, especially once you get some practice. So cannot find the zone file CLZ obj. Really? Did I not copy? Why did my copy not bring over? Oh, it's because I need that dot. or I need the wildcard after CLZ dot star. That makes sense. But the fact that it errored with that means it's trying to load it, and hopefully we actually get graphics this time, because last time it rendered the screen blank. So let's see if we can get the character. Boom! There you go, dude. Look at it. You can see Pac-Man on the character select. Awesome. And I think I'm at 0, 0. It's actually kind of hard to tell. We'll have to make some geometry to verify that here in a sec. All right, so let's make a new map. And I need to get some textures, like badly, because I'm getting tired of Pac-Man, right? So let's do this. We're going to go to... we could take some of your textures, but I'm not going to bother with that for now. I'm just going to take some Neriac ones, right? So to do that, I need tools, EQ zip. Well, the problem with all your textures is it's just a pain in the ass to maintain. I don't need it to lag every time I drag down. I only need one. So, I mean, I could go grab one from yours, but what I'd rather do is go into Neriac. Like take Neriac A and extract this to something. I think I was making a games, EQ, tools, and I don't have an Underdark zone in here. Let's do that. Underdark, and then let's make a Neriac. Boom. Okay. So now I have an Underdark project of sorts, and inside here we have Neriac. And what we're going to find is, I just want to find some, like, you know, Neriac textures that you always see everywhere, which I think is the not goblin floor. There's a grayish brown. I think it's this Neriac floor and Neriac block and Neriac walls. Yeah, there's a wall, roof. This is your classic Neriac textures, right? So we're going to copy these, and we need to put them into two different directories. We need to put them into the Radiant. No, we still use, unfortunately, we're using Urban Terror still. So I got to go to the base Q3 of Urban Terrors, go to textures, and I have Pac-Man currently. I'm going to make a Neriac pack. Paste in these textures. Hopefully BMP is supported. We're going to find out real soon. Then we go to scripts. We're going to have to edit the shader list and also make a copy of this, call it Neriac, edit the shader file, and I think I can just put in here the names of all these textures. So Neriac block, hopefully BMP works. I might have to change it to JPEG. Neriac floor, Nerwall 2, Nerwall roof, and textures Neriac. Right on. Thank you, Dad. I will definitely look into it a little bit later. I just really wanted to focus on this first. So, yeah, I'll definitely ping you here soon enough. So if I refresh this, we now have Neriac, but there are no shaders currently listed inside of it. I think the BMP file is not supported. I think I can use Aspirite to convert that though real quick. BMPs cannot be converted. Okay. They said they have a tool to help with this, but maybe I'll do that. So D drive games EQ tools. We're going to go to OpenZone. There's a graphics converter program. I don't know though what this exports as. Oh, this turns it into DDS. We don't need a DDS converter. We need BMP to JPEG. think I can just do that with paint. The conversion is not working right. Interesting. Is it because of EQZip and how it's exporting? I mean, I get a preview. Maybe GIMP. Man, I don't like... That's an ordeal. But you know what? Urban Terror, Base Q3, Textures, Nariac, and we're going to just call that Nariac block. So now we have a Nariac block.jpg. Let's see if we can get that to load when we change the shader and refresh. Yes. So it is a JPEG issue. All right. Well, I mean, I guess I can just convert these two. All right. No. Wait. There? And there? I guess it should double check that a single shader supporting multiple textures is also a thing, but I can do that after I finish this conversion. Okay. Done. Now we can take the BMPs out because they're useless. Refresh net radiant. There we go. Now we have textures to draw with, or render with, I guess. So now we got to figure out in game how this character select should look. Pretty sure the white background is because that's how I had it in this. Let's do, I don't know, like 512 by 512. Why is that? That's 512 by 512. Okay. We'll move the geometry to 0, 0. Okay. This will be your outer wall that I'm just going to fake it with basically to start. So we made that. Ooh, I guess the Y is off. What orientation am I on right now, actually? Forgot to check that. Oh. Yeah, that's not good. So let's try that again. Let's get the orientation to top. There. And if I switch to here, I want it to be also be zeroed. Okay. I'm always curious, why can't I size it easier? Like, isn't there an extrude button? Yeah. Select the face and transform it up. That makes sense. Okay, so now we have a 512, right? By 512. This one, when I'm top-down view, that's perfect. Does it tell you what orientation the camera's on? It doesn't really do that, does it? Kind of wish there was a way to better know what side we're currently looking at. You notice that this says 1, 3, and 7. When I press 1, 3, and 7, though, it does a grid change, which is a little weird. All right, so, which I actually want the grid to be about, I don't know, 6. And we want to go back to top-down view. We want to create a info player spawner. We'll just put that wherever. How about in the center of the world? Sounds good. And so now we have a cube. Let's go ahead and turn it into a room. And here is the room. You'll notice the roof actually does not have shaders. Why did the roof go away? It must be a bug with how I did everything. Give me the coordinates, please. There. Okay, so this needs to be brushed. Thank you. I don't know what E does, but I didn't mean to do that. So now we have Nariac block on all the edges, right? Nice and beautiful. This is our little room. Let's go ahead and do some more interesting geometry. One of which would be, let's put a little pedestal. We're still on top down, right? Yes. Let's shift this down. It's actually going to be at 0, 0, so I don't know where that is exactly. It's on the ground. Okay. So let's put this on the ground. Let's change this to like a rock. And let's actually see if we can curve this. Like, I want to make it a cylinder. And I want it to be a simplistic one, like 7. Okay, that did not work. Rock. See, that's cool. I can make rocks easily. Sphere. Prism. There we go. That's what I wanted. So now I got a little platform. Let's increase precision and select the face and just shrink it down a little bit more. So now we get this little pedestal, right? And now let's take a couple more cubes, and I'm assuming north is up. So what we're going to actually do is let's just go ahead and like make some cubes. Something like this. I don't know how I set the starting orientation, but I got to figure that out. Like, oh, we need to lower the precision. Okay. What's the hotkey? So it's F, click, up, and then F to unclick. Okay. So we're going to put some rocks. And so what I'm probably going to go ahead and do, that is my alarm to go change the laundry. I'm going to add another like 10 minutes though. So, what I want to do is hit this, hit curve, make this a rock. That's probably a too complex of a rock. Let's do a simpler rock. Like, I don't know, 8 sides? There we go. I like it. And we can put this up, even rotate it. Because I kind of like the idea of putting some geometry in the background of like edges and stuff. Same thing, entity, brush, rock. Let's do like 8. Some of this scaling needs to be cleaned up. Is it S? Yeah, I really need that to be a shortcut. In fact, what is S set to? Scale is not even on here. They need like a fine key on here. Whatever. Another thing I want to test real quick is, can I delete with, like watch, if I take this object and I put it like here, right? And then we take this object and then we do a Boolean negative or whatever it's called. It's a CSG subtract. Whoa, that's not what I want. Put caps. This is a very basic system where you basically clip using another object. It's usually called Boolean. But I'm not seeing those operations. Split, merge, polygons. Oh, that's kind of cool. You can just make custom polygons. Polygons. But yeah, I'm not seeing it. Rotate, size, transform, UV tilt, clipper. Maybe it's clipper. Not looking like it's clipper. There we go. That's what I want. So what that means is I can take this geometry, right? And I can say clipper. And I can basically say, I want to clip this here. Whoa, not S. No, wait. Clip there. And then maybe up to like here. And then like, well, hold up. The numbers are wrong. Wait, what are you doing? No. Okay, delete that again. Whoop. What's going on here? Oh, that's just some remnants of the stuff I did earlier. Okay, so let's try this again. We got this object, right? And I want to keep the object, but I want to clip out this back area, right? So I go clipper, click the top, click this, perfect. And then I just like commit it. Nice. And then I can do transform. And now I have this object outside. I will fill it with this texture. And this should be filled. All of these need to be filled with that. So now when you go outside, you see the texture. I know that it's never going to be rendered, but still. Now I'm curious. If I do the polygon builder, invalid number of brushes selected, choose one only. Oh, so that's if you make a primitive first. I see. So really at the end of the day, it's kind of the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and save this because this is going to be a CLZ, the new CLZ. Let's go ahead and make a floor. Perfect. Now, if I stretch this floor, it's going to look more like the crappy graphics of what EverQuest does. You see that? Probably a little bit less stretched. So like, I don't know, 15? No. Yeah, that looks a little bit more EQ-ish. Oops. How'd you move? I didn't tell you to move. All right. I like this. I think it looks decent. I know that my rocks are pretty bad, but you know what? It's my first real attempt. Okay, so how do I move this? No. Oh, right click, drag. That makes sense. Okay. So now we're going to make another cube. This needs to be a wall. And this needs to use the brush rock, and we're going to go like 8. And then we're going to, actually, I don't like that one. Can I like randomize it each time? It's definitely randomized. Man, that's a big rock. Why are you so damn big? We don't need that. Let's do another one. That's not horrible, I think. It's kind of hard to tell. I need to see the blue line. Maybe. Honestly, that one's pretty bad. Let's just delete it. I think that's good enough. I can even copy this. I mean, it kind of gives the effect of the Nariak rock stuff. And again, I'm kind of just playing. I feel like what I need to do is create a brush on the back here. Just like that. And then select face, go up to the top. Where is the top of this? Shift this down, and you get like this wall. You can put it like right here. Dang it, it's already been 10 minutes. Fine. And then one last little geometry I want to make is, we can even do it on the other side real quick. Going to be basically, oh, so it keeps the same brush as before. I see. Let's go to the bottom. Let's select this face, and then let's transform it up. Then let's select this face. Oop, what are you doing? You're not the right one. Can you hide? Yes. Thank God. And it's intuitive, except how do you unhide it? Uh-oh. Shift H. That makes sense. Wow. I love it when a tool is intuitive. All right, so what we're going to do is flange this out. Then we're going to select the upper edge. And we're going to shift this back if it'll let me. Wait. Yeah, select edges. There we go. Something like that. And what this is doing is I'm going to put a roof on here. Okay, then we're going to Shift H. We're going to move this up just a hair. And so what this gives is like this effect, like it's a building, right? I might change this to brick. So now you have like, here's your starting spot. There's some like random rocks, which is very classic Neriac. And then you have this little wall incest with like a rooftop, which is also another very Neriac thing. Cool. Let's see if it works. Let's build the BSP real quick. Let's come over here, copy it from maps to Quake 3 maps. Yep. Then let's go to OpenZone. Let's go ahead and delete this. We're going to have to copy the textures over real quick. No. Yes. We have to go find these textures and copy them to textures. Oh, we can actually. Perfect. All right, so now we go back here. We import, not 3DS, but the Quake map. We go to library, textures, Quake 3, maps, and it's not there. It's because it's putting it in the subdirectory maps. So my command might need that. There. We can delete that, put CLZ in here, and let's preview it real quick, even though this thing is cumbersome as fuck. So south is this way, so it's likely going to be north facing, and we're not going to see much, but that looks perfect. It's exactly what I was envisioning. So let's go and export as CLZ. Yes, okay. We can go and exit out of the client. We can come here. We can copy the CLZ over. Then we can start the client up. And I got to go do my laundry here in just a sec. Let's boot that up. And look at that. Kaboom! And as I expected, it's on the east side. So my orientation's wonky. But doesn't this just like scream Neriac? It's a little big. But I think I intentionally made it kind of big. But yeah, in my opinion, the way to make this happen is you use Radiant, because it's so much easier to do geometry and stuff in Radiant than it is in OpenZone. Yeah, because look, I can just come back here and like I can move this over. Oops, not Q. W. What is this guider? I don't know. W, move this down so it doesn't clip into the roof anymore. We actually are going to rotate the whole world potentially. How does northeast, south, west work, by the way? I'm guessing north is always... Like, can we... Oh, so north is this way. This is west. Pretty sure when we were in character select, it was on the right side, which means it's facing south. No, it's on the right side. So it's facing north, I think. But anyways, I'm gonna take a picture of this. I could potentially just shift these objects, because it's not like these all have destinations or anything. Okay, what just happened? Okay. And then we can snap it over here. Put it over here. I think it's there. Okay, don't hold shift until after you commit. Then you hold shift. Also, why is this so flat now? Probably because I had it stuck behind. Something like that. Where did my third one go? I guess it's in the wall. Yep. Okay, so save, build, BSP, take it, copy it over, go into OpenZone, delete the mesh, re-import it, find it again, take it as CLZ, double check the orientation. Like, is it truly north? No, it's in south. You know what? Let's test it. It's going to be backwards potentially, but whatever. Then we export to S3D, call it CLZ, hit OK, press OK, quit the game, go here, copy the files over, start the client up. Log in, and we'll see if I fixed it. Ta-da! Look at that. Perfect. Exactly what I envisioned. It's still a little too big, but it's still pretty cool. I'm taking a picture. For gangsta. And I'll share it with EQEMU, I guess. That's cool. I'm happy. That's like a success, essentially. I could shrink it if I really cared, and probably should, because the world is too dang big. And you figure with how small this object is, I think EQ uses the same. No, it actually could be a half. Oops. Because if you look, I look absolutely tiny. And you know what it is? I think I know what it is. In OpenZone, there is a Pascal option that basically, during BSP import, there's a scale by 3 option, I'm pretty sure it's setting. I remember seeing that earlier. Let me look real quick. So it's iterating all the textures, adding polygons. Maybe not. Like, I don't see it here actually. But that's fine. Can I like scale the whole room? The whole thing? I don't know how to select all. Yeah, nevertheless, I consider this a success. It's a little bigger than I wanted, but it's still pretty cool, dude. Anyways. With that, I think I'm going to go ahead and end it. I guess I can show the whole world, though, on a screenshot at least. Anyways, cool. If you've been watching, thank you. Hope you enjoyed. I know I was productive-ish. I have 5 viewers, so there's some people lurking. If any other questions or whatever, let me know, but I now have a CLZ.map that I probably should move away from base Q2 maps, but it's all right. CLZ, we're good to go. I got to go do laundry, so I might be back later. We'll see. And you guys have a good one. Thank you, Fanar. It wasn't that hard, and I'll be doing a lot more, but you can definitely see the EQ vibes. And of course, I need to learn how to make hollow points. Like if I wanted to make a hallway here or something, I got to get better at these tooling tool, but like face select, shrink this down. Let's say I wanted to make a hole right here, right? Like if I wanted to make this breakthrough, you would need to make like something like this, and then you have to do some form of hollow subtraction thing. But I don't know that command yet. Is it... There you go. See? This is what I was trying to figure out. So you make a hole, and now you have a walkway that you can start working on. However you like. And you can exit the barrier of doom. Anyways, all right, guys. You have a good one. I'm going to undo all this and make it back to basically where I'm happy. Got to figure out the sizing a little bit better. I got to tweak some of the geometry and whatnot, but I got to go